This is MRN Out Loud, brought to you by Hercules Tires.
Hello again, everyone. I'm Woody Cain, and welcome to another edition of MRN Out Loud. An off week coming up this weekend, no racing. Joey Logano will be with us to talk about his off week plans and his win on the dirt track at Bristol Motor Speedway, the first time the Cup Series has been on dirt in over 50 years. Joey Logano and Richard Petty, the last two dirt winners in the Cup Series. He'll also offer up a preview of Martinsville when we get back there in 2 weeks. It's all ahead on MRN Out Loud. Stay with us.
Citywide to countryside, whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there no matter where the road takes you. Go to HerculesTires.com. There you can find the nearest authorized Hercules retail location to you. Plus, you can use the tire tracker to find out which Hercules tire fits your vehicle the best. That's HerculesTires.com. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Joey Logano is with us now, fresh off his win at the dirt track at Bristol Motor Speedway. First time in 50 years that's happened, Joey. And your PR guy, Kyle, told me that it has been 18,843 days since that happened. What are the odds of that?
Of course he would do the math to figure that out. I find that kind of funny. But, yeah, I mean, obviously very special to win on the dirt at Bristol. Obviously, it was probably the most anticipated event all year long. I think everyone's been talking about this event since it's been announced, maybe more even the Daytona 500. I'm not taking anything away from Daytona 500. It's still the biggest race to win that possible. But to be able to win on the dirt, for the first time in 50 years, something that, I think as a team we take a lot of pride in. Being able to try to figure it out first. And we obviously had a very good Shell Pennzoil Mustang, and we executed the race very well on top of that, and kept ourselves clean and towards the front most of the race, and methodically move our way towards the front and keep tires on the car. There's definitely plenty of challenges, but I think overall to be able to be sitting on top and having that Bristol sword and sticking into the dirt, that was a pretty special feeling.
Now, you said keeping yourself clean. That's a relative term at a dirt race. So give me a sense of what it was like. I mean, was it all up in your ears and your hair and all that afterwards? What was that like?
In comparison to what we do when we go four wheeling and go side by side trips, it was pretty clean from what I'm used to. I'm usually the guy that runs through all the dirt and the mud holes and all that, because I think it's funny, and I'm usually the muddiest at the end of those trips. So I'm a little used to the dirt from that aspect, and I like to think that it helped me a little bit. Obviously, that's kind of the gist of my dirt racing experience is through the woods or going to Durham Town and having fun down there on some of their racetracks. But in side by side, and then I ran some modified races. Starting in Volusia and ran up in Bristol as well. So, that's my dirt racing background, which isn't obviously very deep at all, but I got to think that stuff definitely helped play into yesterday. And then also, you kind of put that on top of stock car racing, right? Like your typical short track racing, the skills that you learn over years about how to save tires, what you need out of your car, at certain moments and how to drive it is kind of a hybrid of both of those. I don't think if you were a dirt expert, right? If you're the best, BA dirt guy out there and you put them in one of these cup cars, I think it's so different. Those late models and modified sprint cars, the way you have to drive those cars to make speed is completely different. So it's a hybrid of both, right? That comes together. When you saw this race. So, I was glad to be able to have just enough experience to kind of know where the track was going, know what the dirt's going to do, and how to move around a little bit at least.
That's one of the things I wanted to ask you about is saving tires. How different of a feel is that on dirt versus asphalt? You have to do it at a place like Atlanta where you had just been the week before because the track's so abrasive, but seeing some of the tires come off of those cars with that big square pattern that Goodyear had in there, they looked almost like slicks when they came off of the cars sometimes.
They were slicks. By the end, they definitely were slicks. And, I think the biggest concern was blowing them out. As you wear that rubber off and you get down to the cords, well, the next thing's air. There's not much after that. So yeah, you had to be careful with that and mindful. And, like I said, you use a lot of the same tactics that you would use to save tires at a Richmond or Martinsville, yesterday. And it's hard to do, right? Because you want to go, right? And the reward that you hope to get isn't 10 laps later. It's like 35 laps later before you start to see the reward. So I needed long green flag runs to start to see the reward from trying to be smart. So it did work out well. My mindset inside the car was, run hard for a few laps and settle in and try to get one, maybe two more spots throughout the run. And, so if you can get two cars per, everyone's waving to me in the background here at the shop. Really distracted me here. If you can get a couple spots throughout the run, that was kind of my thing. Don't overcharge, don't try to get, more than your car will give you. And methodically, I knew our car was good enough to just kind of grab one or two at a time.
Now, track officials in NASCAR said during the race that this will be a dirt event next year as well. And it makes me think, well, that would be theoretically with the next gen car. And you're one of the handful of guys who've actually tested that thing. Granted, it was early in the process, but what do you think about trying to make that car work on dirt after you just figured out how to make this car work on dirt?
I'm sure it'll be fine. You know what I mean? Like that's where I am with all this is before COVID, we wouldn't have done half the things that we're doing right now. Right. And I always think back to the moment when we went to the Daytona road course and started with no practice, 40 cars deep. No one even knew what turn comes up next. And you know what? It went just fine. And if it wasn't for COVID, we'd never, ever have done that. So at this point, I've been pushed so far out of my comfort zone that I'm comfortable outside of my comfort zone, so, which is a great thing. Like that is the number one biggest positives coming out of this pandemic for me is really just anytime that's something so far out of the box gets thrown at us, I think, all right, it's not going to be as bad as you expect it to be, right? You expect it to be a complete mess, and it always goes better than you think. And I think that's probably the key learning for me. So throw it at us at this point. I don't care. It'll be fine.
I guess if there is a bright side to all this, that is one of them, that some of the things that maybe we never would have tried have come to the front and been better than anybody ever thought. And I guess in the long run, that's going to be a good thing. But looking at your hat, I'm seeing reminds me that there's a discount this week for some merchandise, right? Tell folks about that.
Absolutely. Joey Logano Store. Every time, we get a win, we get joeylogano.com. We definitely put a sale up for the victories. We're designing some cool dirt shirts right now. 100% of the proceeds go to the foundations. If you buy a shirt for $20 or whatever it is, $20 goes to the Joey Logano Foundation to help give second chances to children, young adults in times of crisis, kids that need some good role models, that need a little support to help them be a contributing member of society. Those are the kids that it will help out. So it's so much fun to be able to impact people's lives that way together, not just me, right? It's a whole group. It's all my fans that come together to make that impact. So that's why I love doing that store so much, right? It's really a charitable store where every dollar that goes into it goes straight back to the kids.
Yeah, that's fantastic as well. Hey, also this past weekend, you were in the booth with Fox for the truck race, and you seem to be enjoying yourself. Is that something you've kind of eyed for down the road, or are you just having fun?
I would like to someday. I still feel like I got a long ways to go in my driving career, but right now with the lack of practice and the weekends, not being as demanding as they've been in the past, especially without appearances and like I said, practice and whatnot. So you have a little bit more free time at the racetrack, and if I'm going to be there, put me to work. I can't sit still. So I've really enjoyed doing the Fox broadcast, whether it's been Race Hub, whether it's been at the racetrack, or I did the iRacing deal from Fox Studios here in Charlotte as well. So I like it because, well, for a few reasons. For one, you get to kind of show your personality and who you are, and also just be a race fan. Like I still love this sport. I love doing what I do. I love watching NASCAR racing as much as I like driving in it. So talking about it is something that's natural and easy for me. And then being able to give the fans that that perspective from a driver that just got off the racetrack. You know, that information couldn't be more fresh. And I love having that ability to do that. So something I have fun doing. I would love to do that post driving someday. I don't know when that is. I feel like that's a long ways down the road still, but in the meantime, you know, getting to jump up there in the booth here and there is pretty fun for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hope it's far down the road. But speaking of down the road, you got an off week and you don't get to say that very often. So what's on the plan for the family? You going to load up the station wagon and head to some exotic locale, or what's going on?
We are getting out of Dodge. We're going to the beach in South Carolina tonight. So we're going. My Ford truck is loaded up, and we look like the Clampetts going down the road. We got 2-seater bicycles with trailers and power wheels and bicycles for the kids. We are full to the brim. So as you can imagine, going down the road with a couple kids for about 4 hours is always a good time. So it's the same for everyone, whether you're a race car driver or not. You're gonna have screaming kids in the back. You're gonna have the Disney music blaring at some point. You know what I mean?
And you memorize all the songs.
Yep. Someone's gonna be hungry. Someone has to go to the bathroom all the time. I could do this trip in about 3 hours by myself, but it's gonna take me about 5 tonight.
That's exactly right. Well, let's finish with this, Joey. When you do come back, you head to Martinsville, and obviously the Bristol dirt track is not necessarily a great indication because it was so different, but where do you think your short track program is as you get set to head to Martinsville?
Our short track program is definitely our strength right now. When you look at the 750 races this year, on the road courses, right? You know, we've been pretty good, you know, for the Clash, and then going back down there and finishing second, almost winning the race. I felt pretty strong about that. Phoenix, another second place finish there. And then you call it what you want, the dirt track, but I call it a 750 race and being able to win. So I feel like our short track package is really good. Our 550s week, we got to work on that as a team and in trying to pinpoint where that is. Sometimes I feel like we might be a bit of a lost puppy on the 550 stuff, trying to figure out what that is. So we'll keep working on it and trying to find that spot. But for now, definitely our strengths are in 750s. And, you know, we got a couple good tracks coming up for us.
Any concerns at all, or is it more of an aesthetic thing about taking up that grass and paving over it there at Martinsville?
Yeah, I don't know why we have grass at any racetrack, if you ask me. I'm sick of watching cars rip their splitters off or get stuck in the mud, or like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? That's my opinion. That's just my opinion, but I don't think there's a place for grass at a racetrack. Well, I think it looks pretty, but it doesn't look pretty when it throws the car up in the air and rips the splitter off, and all these guys at the race shop building these race cars and team owners putting, you know, millions of dollars in these race cars and getting destroyed because you spun out through the grass isn't acceptable in my eyes.
I don't think you're alone in that opinion. Well, Joey, congratulations on the big win. Have fun on the vacation, and we'll see you back at Martinsville. Thanks for your time.
Absolutely. Thanks, Woody. See you soon.
There you go. That's Joey Logano.
Sir, are you aware you were going 40 miles an hour? This is a residential area.
Sure, but I'm on my lawnmower? Wait, am I getting a ticket?
No, I've just never seen anyone top 9 miles an hour on one of those bad boys. And mow their entire lawn in 30 seconds? What got into you?
Well, it did fuel up at Sunoco this morning.
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. We've been doing it for American racing for over 50 years. Fuel your best.
Citywide to countryside, whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there no matter where the road takes you. Go to HerculesTires.com. There you can find the nearest authorized Hercules retail location to you. Plus, you can use the tire tracker to find out which Hercules tire fits your vehicle the best. That's HerculesTires.com. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
That's all the time we've got on this week's edition of MRN Out Loud. We want to thank Joey Logano for being with us. Don't forget now, no race coming up this weekend. The following week, Martinsville, and MRN will be there for all the action. Until we see you right back here next week, I'm Woody Cain saying join us again for MRN Out Loud.